This video is about actually getting the room you want. Few caveats. I do use booking.com for short stays. If I plan on staying longer, I do some legwork. I walk around town and try to find an apartment. When you book online, you're almost surely to get the worst room at that location. Booking.com only lets people who legitimately stayed somewhere make a review. However, I have found some businesses to be suspect. An example of that was my stay at Aguas Calientes at the foot of Machu Picchu. The business canceled my booking when I paid. Thus, I was not able to leave a review. They gave me the absolute crappiest room they had. It had no ventilation. The window for ventilation was literally bricked up. I will show examples of that and some other bloopers where my mistakes will be your knowledge. And these are lessons I learned from to improve my stats. Hey, I'm Fast Fred Ruddick. This is my travel channel, Fast Fred Travels. If you want some exciting travel tips, then subscribe, share with your friends. Give me some motivation to make more videos. Maybe leave a donation if you care to. See the description for details. You may not be able to get all the things you want, so you might have to make a prioritized list, such as a comfortable bed, really fast internet, or what's important to you. Also, budgetary constraints, which are very easy to sort out online, but in person, you might have to decide what's really important, the price you're paying or the amenities you're getting. Location is also often a priority. Sometimes it's not what you would think. You might want to be further from the touristy area or down a long alley so you can get quiet, restful sleep. Some locations, certain amenities or features are not available, such as hot water on the northern Peruvian coast. It's really hot there in the desert, and most of the locals do not want hot water. Therefore, they don't offer it. So be aware of that and take it in stride or negotiate for a better price. All right, so here's my list of priorities. Yours will vary. Customize your list and actions to verify that all these priorities exist. It's your own responsibility. 11 important items when considering your room and negotiating. Item number 1, communication with your host. Most people would highly rate communication, the ability to communicate with your host or the owner of your location, or maybe the manager, etc. Often, it is really desirable to be able to do this prior to booking if possible. Booking allows you to do messaging, and if you're looking for an apartment, you can walk around on foot and take care of this in advance. Maybe swap WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a great way to communicate with people, especially in Latin America. It is extremely popular here. Item number 2, internet, speed, reliability, and security. This is one of the items you can actually quantify and test. First off, what's the security? If there's no password and it's an open network, that's a big deal killer. That's very dangerous. Open Wi-Fi networks where no password is required is a big no-no. You should use a VPN and your own router and firewall if you're going to chance something like this. Even still, I consider it shady. Internet speed. Test it. Don't just take their word for it. Log on before you make the deal and see what the speed actually is. See how secure it is. It's a good idea to test this in the afternoon or evening when traffic is busiest to see what it's really going to be like at worst. Internet speed and reliability and security is very important to those of you who may be digital nomads or doing some work, or maybe a common person that actually wants to do some online banking. Don't do that on open Wi-Fi with no password or encryption. That'd be very dangerous. Also, not all encryption schemes are equal. If you're on an extremely old router, you might be vulnerable to attack. they are not being patched. So make sure you are careful. Buyer beware. Item number 3, seating area. On the same theme, for those of you doing online work, make sure there's a seating area or a nice desk and chair that you can sit at where you can do some work and be productive and comfortable. Or maybe you guys like to play games. Gamers, you might want the same. I like to have a room with a decent desk and a chair to sit at. Sometimes I watch Netflix even. Currently, I'm watching Boulevard, a Spanish series about the liberation of South America. It's quite entertaining if you want to improve your Spanish. Item number 4, ventilation. Don't take ventilation for granted. I made this mistake in Peru, and I got quite ill from the black mold growing in the room. Yeah, the window was stained glass and pulled closed when I moved into my room. I didn't think to open it, and when I did, because ventilation sucked, it was bricked closed. Yeah, this is why I inferred to in my intro. Check out this video about it. Learn from my mistake.
The lack of ventilation in this room is absolutely awful. This will illustrate the extent of the lack of ventilation.
Also, check for signs of black mold. Yeah, learn from my previous mistake. Look for plumbing issues, as in that could also make the mold worse. And also, does the room prohibit smoking? If not, you might see nicotine stains or smell them. Or do they enforce their no smoking policies? These are health issues and comfort. So don't skip here. At lower elevations, such as Mancora, Peru, it's important to look for good quality screens. I stayed at a location like this, and mosquitoes feasted on me at night because there were no screens or they had huge gaping holes. There are additionally other nasty flying insects that might be annoying as well. So check your screens no matter where you're at, especially at lower elevations where it's humid and in the jungle and such. Item number 5, bathroom. Do you want a shared bathroom or do you want your own private bathroom? As elevation increases in cooler climates, hot water is more important, but don't take it for granted. I have been in places that were relatively high elevations that were never plumbed for hot water. Ask if you're doing it online, and don't expect it to be an honest answer, but it's still better than not asking. When you go check out your room, especially if you're looking for an apartment, or before you pay money, you want to see your room, verify the hot water works. Check out the suicide shower. See if it actually has wires running to it. If it's not energized, it isn't going to be warm. And then turn it on. See if it's warm enough to suit your purposes. And sometimes the suicide showers might shock you if you attempt to adjust them while they're running. This has happened to me a few times. It is not the norm, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility. Be careful. Well, while you're checking the hot water, see how well the drain works, or does the water puddle up a few inches deep in the shower stall while you're testing the hot water? This might be unpleasant and lead to fungal growth in your nails. Guys know all about fungal infections in toenails, so you might want to avoid that. Might be unpleasant, might be stinky later. Toilet, seat or no seat? Well, if there's no seat, it's easier to clean. The porcelain wipes clean easily, but it might be a little chilly at higher elevations. Test for adequate flush and make sure it fills. Don't take it for granted. I have stayed in places where I just had to take the lid off the tank so I could manually operate the flap with my hand. So keep all this in mind and maybe negotiate for a better price. Unless you've already found the score on the price, then you know why you're getting what you're getting. And mirror, finally the mirror. Often you'll find mirrors in the room and mirrors in the bathroom. If those are important to you, check them out. Item number 6, bedding. Is the mattress firm enough or soft enough to suit your desires? Are the pillows acceptable? How are the sheets? Are they thread barn? Are they knotty? Do you like them? Are you going to ask for new sheets or go buy your own? Or maybe if you're really picky, you should probably pack up your own bedding and fly with it so you can have what you need if you're looking for really exotic fibers or thread counts. The choices are yours. I generally find the mattresses are pretty good, but hey, I live in a guide shack all summer. You might have seen closing in some of my other videos, so I can get by pretty well. But the choice is yours on that. Some apartments even have hammock hangers, so you can hang a hammock and then you get around all that. And hammocks are quite comfortable, plentiful in Ecuador. I'm not seeing quite as many for sale here in Guatemala though. Bugs. A good night's sleep, you probably don't want bugs. So inspect the mattress, linens, look for signs of bed bugs or other insects that might be unpleasant. To reiterate, like back in the ventilation item I mentioned previously, check for screens, make sure you're not going to have flies and mosquitoes bothering you at night. Do check for bed bugs. Personally, I've only seen those to be a problem in luxury hotels in the United States. I haven't really encountered them in Latin America, but who knows? Item number 7, noise. Are you on a main street in a touristy area next to a loud bar? You might not get much sleep. Are you at the end of a really long alley off of a street? Might be a great place for a restful night. A lot quieter, no traffic, no motor noise, no motos, probably no moto taxis or tuk-tuks. Might be a prime location. Be aware, out in the country and in Latin America, there are often many dogs, which may bark at night, and chickens, which will certainly start crowing probably about 4 o'clock in the morning. If there's lots of light pollution, the chickens may get confused and start crowing much earlier. I've been in places where they started crowing at 2 o'clock in the morning. So be aware. If these are problems to you, think about the location and ask questions before you rent your room. If you are renting in person versus online, you can walk around at different times of day if you've allotted yourself enough time at your first day so that you know what you're getting into. A little foresight give you a lot more peace of mind later. Item number 8, lighting. Do you have adequate lighting in your room? Equally important, is there light pollution just outside your room, like a bright street light? Item number 9, kitchen. First question is, do you want a kitchen? Is it important to you? I find it a great way to save money. Then your next question is, do you want to stay in a hostel with a shared kitchen? Great way to meet fellow travelers. Or would you rather have an apartment with a private kitchen where you won't have to share it and it'll be easier to cook your meals and potentially save even more money? I can eat for as little as $10 a week in Ecuador cooking my own food, for example. Most importantly, when checking out the kitchen, look for nuisance insects. Roaches, etc., whatever grosses you out. And if it's disgusting, move on to another location. Does your kitchen have an adequate sink and counter space for preparing meals and cleaning up easily afterwards, and somewhere to dry your dishes? Are there adequate utensils and cooking devices? Do you have pans and pots to cook the things you need to cook? Is there an oven? Do you have pans that you can put in the oven and bake things that you care to eat? Is the gas included, or do you have to buy it? Is there an empty bottle? It's kind of chancy if you have to put the deposit on the bottle. I found almost everywhere that I've rented an apartment that the gas bottle comes with it, and all I got to do is pay for refills, which vary from as low as $2 in Ecuador, for example. Refrigerator. Don't take this for granted. In Peru, refrigerators are quite rare in my experience, especially in the Sacred Valley. Due to the higher elevation, it's not a big deal, and ultra-pasteurized milk doesn't need a refrigerator, but some items might, so check and make sure, see if it's functional, test it, do not assume. Appliances, what appliances are included? Appliances such as blenders and toaster ovens are great. Microwaves are nice too if you want a fast meal. The presence or lack of these appliances may give you room to negotiate or might determine the price you're going to pay. Item number 10, laundry facilities. Laundry options. Do you have a wash area? Is there a washing machine present? Is the washing machine extra? Sometimes they are, especially in hostels, but they're usually pretty cheap. Or do you have your own clothesline with you, like piece of cord, paracord, like I often carry, that you can rig up your own clothesline in your bathroom and simply wash your clothes while you take your shower? Saves a lot of time. Hey, some people think it's silly, but they spend a lot of money and waste a lot of time going to the laundry, and often the laundries will damage your clothes in Latin America. I've seen crazy things like them stapling a number to every article of your clothing and then sorting them out, and well, they almost surely lose something. If your Spanish is really good, you can argue with them and find all your clothing, maybe, or maybe not. Buyer beware. I personally prefer to wash my own clothes like I do all year. It's no big deal. It saves me a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of stress. Item number 11, other important perks. For relaxing, meeting people, maybe a smoking area. Whether you smoke tobacco, maybe Moda, it's probably a good idea to have somewhere to smoke outside your room. Most rooms that I encounter nowadays in Latin America and elsewhere are all non-smoking. Laws vary in different countries. Smoking mota, cannabis, can get you in a lot of trouble in some places, so be smart about it if you're going to do it. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, but use your brain. Garden areas are really nice, great place to relax. Shared balconies can be a great place to meet people and enjoy the view of the town maybe, or the scenery, or the mountains, maybe the lake. Rooftop patios are awesome. In Barranco, there was a very nice one at the hostel I stayed in at the beginning of my trip to Peru and the end of my trip to Peru last year. Rooftop patios are an awesome place to meet other guests, drink beer, maybe share some smokes, enjoy the view. Awesome, especially during the pandemic. It was a way to be away from the police hassling you on the street. So those are really good perks. Read the description of properties really well and go see them in person before you make the decision. It's your money till you give it to them. If you do your research first and make sure that all the amenities really work and you have what you need before you spend your money, you won't have buyer's remorse later. As I've been mentioning throughout this video, there are going to be trade-offs. You need to know what your priorities are, and you're not going to be able to get all of them. Make sure you get the ones that are most important, and be willing to make trade-offs and negotiate prices to get what you really want. Like I said before, some places you're not going to find hot water. The Peruvian desert along the coast, hot water is a rare commodity, especially in northern Peru, Mancora, which is an awesome surf spot I went to a few years ago. The locals hate hot water because it's so hot there, so they don't like it, thus it is not available. Keep this in mind. It doesn't matter what the review says or what it claims on Booking, they might be fibbing. Go verify it if it matters. And if it isn't there, try to negotiate for a better price. It worked for me, it'll probably work for you. This channel is made possible by wonderful subscribers like you and viewers too. And especially those of you who have made donations or come rafting with me. I really appreciate you. You can find links in the description if you'd like to donate or come rafting in the future. And I strongly urge you to visit the page and read the details, because if you request me for the Class 3 section on weekends, odds are you won't get me. They prefer to work me on the Class 4 part on Saturdays, Sundays. Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays are days come rafting on the Milicoe with me. And here's a list of the names of the people who have supported me. And by the way, I really miss Cat's Deli in McKaysville, Georgia. They got some awesome breakfast bagels and great coffee and lively conversations. Come meet the locals, spend a little time. Cats of McKaysville, what a great place to come eat breakfast or lunch. And if you're taking the train from Blue Ridge, you got to check this place out. You'll see it on your way into town. They have really great gravy,
And people that show up after 11 o'clock are often really sad because they can't get it. That's right. You got to be here in the morning before 11 o'clock if you want to try the most slawed over famous gravy in McKaysville.